Bam. How are you? How are you? Good afternoon. It's 6/28, June 28th, 2022. My name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty, a small real estate brokerage in South St. Louis, Missouri. If you like real estate agent content, real estate news, real estate notes, real estate commentary, I'm probably the best place you can go right now. It's weird. A guy in his basement has his broker's license, starts a brokerage, works mostly as an agent, though. I tend to not recruit too many agents. It's not really my thing. But yeah, this is where you should be. You should hit the subscribe button. I'm telling you that right in the first minute. Right in the first minute, because we have 13 subscribers. I think we had 14. I think I lost one. So things are going slow. I think I've done 100 and some odd videos on the channel now. And I do live stream. So if you have a question about real estate, maybe I can help you. Maybe your agent's telling you like stuff and you're looking at it and you're like, this guy is just cheating me. Maybe you're looking at things and you're like, I don't know what I should do about this. I think I can help. If you give me enough information, I think I could give you kind of the right way to go. Now, things I don't do well, like if you're doing something kind of squirrely, like, you're going to buy a house from your cousin's aunt and, there's like 6 people involved and you're not going to pay a mortgage. It's just, I'm not going to fix that problem. I'm not going to fix that problem. You're looking for a deal and you've got a good chance of being a host. But for the rest of you, you just have a question. If you want to know how to get started as a real estate agent, I'd sure like to know that. If you want to get started about, how do you start the home buying process, you should probably check out my channel. You should probably subscribe and you should probably get in the chat and ask questions. That's what I think you should do. Now, might be a little problem. You might have to subscribe before you ask a question in the chat, but that's because I get a lot of spam, like really bad, and I don't want to deal with it. So this is the best way for me to not have to deal with that. So now that we got our introduction in, a minute in the introduction, I'm feeling pretty good. I have one showing tonight, and just anecdotal, this is a house we were looking at, and seemed too expensive. And then no one bought it. No one put an offer, and they didn't accept any offers. And so now I'm kind of like, well, you had it priced too high. So they lowered the price, and now we're going to go take a look. But we're seeing more of this. We're seeing more back on market, and we're seeing more price changes. Now, is that going to continue? I don't know. Do I know the genesis of it? I've said that, if you drive a pickup truck and your gas price is $5 a gallon for gas, that's in St. Louis. I don't know where you are. It could be even higher. Okay. It took a while before the cash was extracted from your wallet. Like you could do it maybe for a week or 2 or 3 or 4. Now we've had this for like months. And so the money's getting a little tight. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you want to buy a thing of eggs, a dozen of eggs, looking dicey. And then, some of you are getting hit with property taxes. You're seeing your house prices, the assessments go up and you're paying that. Then you're going to go look for a mortgage and you're seeing 6% rates on a 30-year fixed. All of a sudden, it's not a good idea to put in an offer above asking, with an appraisal rider taken out and with no inspections. Maybe that's not such a good negotiating strategy. And maybe I'm not going to put an offer. Like this weekend, I didn't have anybody that wanted to go see houses. And is that unusual for me? Well, carrying the load of buyers that I have, yes. Yes, it is unusual. But it was hot. It's 100 degrees on Saturday. And people get tired of playing the game. So anyway, tonight, going to go see a house. Are we going to put an offer on? I don't know. We'll have to see what the buyers say. If they don't like it, no. If they do, we'll put an offer. During this wonderful time, how many houses were purchased just because somebody wanted to buy a house over someone else? Like somebody wanted to win the game by being the highest, the one holding the bag. How often was that happening? I don't know. I'm curious. We had a house the other day, one of my buyers was looking at, and it just went on the market and it did not sell, I don't believe. And it was a terrible house. It was stupid looking. And it was for old people, but they had their young son living in it. And so it was like, you go in the upstairs and it looks like, somebody that's 90 years old. And then you go to the basement, it's like somebody that's in their 20s. It's very weird. House needs a lot of work. a lot of updates. They want to contract in the marketing remarks. They want a contract as is, and then they want a stipulation that says we need to be able to go find our home to buy next, and you just need to wait. Now, in a good market, would I tell my buyer that? Would I advise my buyers that's a good idea? No. In a crappy market like there is now, would I advise my buyers? No. If you can't sell the house to me within 30 days, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in playing the games of I'll buy this house when mine is sold. Why would I give you that leverage? What happens if rates go up 8%, 9%? What are we going to do? And I can't afford the house. You think I'm going to wait for 30 days, more than 30 days, to have my buyers go in a house? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Will some agent advise their clients it's a great idea to do that? Sure. Is that the agent you want to be working with when you're buying a house? Probably not. But whatever. What I wanted to do today is something a little unusual. And it's not me. I want you to understand it. It's not me picking on the person. That's not what I'm saying. But I had some comments on my last video. Boy, I did a video. Well, let's just talk about that for a minute. My views are terrible. All right. Now, is it because of me? Is it because my content is terrible? Maybe. But when your impressions are like, 25, your impressions alone are like 25. Okay. I mean, you have no chance of getting 50 people to watch the video. I mean, it's like, so that's one thing. Now, I worked really hard on a video. I think it was Sunday night or Sunday night, one of those nights. And I mean, it was like, I did everything. I put a description together that was great. I thought it was great. I put in timestamps. I mean, I really, really worked hard on that video. I put a compelling thumbnail and I got 12 viewers, 12 views, which for me is pretty good. My last video, I think I'm sitting at 4 views. So, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's not like there's not people running out of the woodwork to see my station. Okay. They're not coming to see my channel. But when I do have people come and comment on my videos, sometimes I wonder if they've even watched the video. They just come and comment for no reason. Or maybe they've seen a little bit of it and it was terrible. So they wrote a comment and left. But anyway, I got a comment on my last video and I'm kind of excited about it because we can talk about it here. I'm not gonna belittle anyone for writing comments. I don't think that's necessary. But I wanted to go through it with you, and I just wanted you to see it from my perspective because we don't get to do this very often. So let me go to the right space, and here, and it's here. Okay, now this is gonna be a little weird for me because it's my video. So, okay, so you can't see that, which I'm sorry. That's because I switched off of it. Well, I'll go back to it. Okay. You should be able to see it now. If you're not, that's okay. So this was the video. It was the 25th. So this is the 28th. So the 27th is so Saturday night. Housing market crash in 2022. Home prices up or down. Special Saturday stream. Join me. That was my stream. And here's my description. I mean, you can see it, just go through the whole thing. All my links and everything, all the chapters. I mean, really, really went to it. Okay. Now, then here's my comments. I said, so basically, my take on this is, what are we calling a correction? Is it 10%, 25%, 30%? What is it? And then is it a crash? At what point is it a crash? And then we talked about, house prices. Are they too high? What's going on? They're always too high on the buyer's agent side, and they're never high enough on the selling agent side, listing agent. But anyway, I wanted you to see this. A guy wrote, or girl, I don't care. It's not a problem. It says, it's already started. Properties with 10% below appraisable value started to appear and buyers disappearing. Buyers back on the market is up in the sky. Listing is up in the sky while number of sales dropping. You had 10 buyers. Most likely you will lose some of them. Good luck. Now, I think that this was a reasonable comment on my video. I really do. And so, so it's already started. So the crash has already started is what they're saying. I don't know. I'm not seeing it in St. Louis. I'm seeing some weird things happening, but this whole market has been very, very strange. And then it says properties with 10% below appraisable value started to appear and buyers disappearing. So what he's saying is people are pricing their houses 10% below what an appraisal will get. And that's not even bringing in buyers because they're disappearing. And then it says back on market is up in the sky. I think that I have an answer to that, at least in St. Louis. And that is, look, the properties are back on the market because people didn't see the 6% interest rate. I mean, they were stuck at 3%. So, I mean, when it doubles, they were like, that doubles their payment. Listing is up in the sky while numbers of sales dropping. Now, I want to respectfully disagree with this analysis. Listing is up in the sky. So the amount of listings coming out is what I understand. I'm interpreting this. And I don't expect anybody to write a novel, okay, on a comment, but I'm just going through it. So it says listing is up. So what he's saying, or she, is that there's a bunch of listings out there coming on the market and the number of sales are down. And so I haven't seen that here in St. Louis. I've lost the listings the last 2 weeks come to market. Number of sales may be down, but we've been at historically low inventory levels for months. So, I mean, I'm not worried about that. And then it says you had 10 buyers, most likely will lose some of them. Good luck. Okay. So this wasn't like, hey, I hope everything in your life is terrible and you suck as a human being. That's not what this comment was. Okay. So I replied, right? And I said, what part of the country? And I'm curious. In Missouri, we tend to lag trends. My buyers tend to come and go, so I'll be fine, which is true. Like, I'll have buyers, like there were buyers at the start of the pandemic that dropped off the map. They'll come back. I had buyers 2 months ago and they were like, I'm not playing this game. I'm going to do some other things for a while. When the market cools down, I'll be back. And they will be. I'm not even close to worried. And you say, well, they won't be able to buy a house. Look, they want to buy a house. For whatever reason, either the cost or their jobs or something, whatever that was that caused them to not be able to buy a house, they'll be able to buy a house in the future. And because I didn't try to force them or bully them into a home, they'll call me again. I have no doubt. And if they do go with someone else, well, then, that hurts, but this is real estate and you get hurt all the time. It's part of the business. So then they wrote back. They said, look, Southeast Florida here. Now, I have a friend, not anecdotally, bought a house in Florida, Southwest Florida, just last month, or at least got it under contract. And they had to pay over asking. And it was crazy that they even got the house. I don't even feel like they got the house that they exactly wanted, but it has some things that they might enjoy. So I'm really happy for them. It says, here it started reverse because of retirees and out-of-state buyers. It's one of the safest in the country. I have no doubt that people are moving to Florida and Texas, like leaps and bounds. Okay. And not just retirees. I mean, just regular people just looking for what I would say would be freedom. Investors now flee to get out of the properties. LOL, most talk water, but drink wine, I noticed. They afraid of panic sales. So I don't know about the investor market. I'll tell you, I know that we have like the iBuyers, and there's an article down the road that we can talk about that. I don't know about that, but it says that most talk water but drink wine. I noticed they're afraid of panic sales. So I'm not, like right now, I'm not. And here's what you would be missing if you weren't a real estate agent. Okay. Let me go back to this. My business, like, I don't control the market. Okay. So like if the houses go up, I have to react. Okay. If the prices go up, I have to react. If the prices go down, I have to react. I'm always reacting to the input that I'm getting in the marketplace. Okay. So when my buyers put in an offer and they get beat out by 20 other offers, I can assume that the market's pretty hot, or at least that house was pretty hot. Is that the same strategy I would use for the next house? Well, it just depends. It just depends. You don't ever know really until you get into the offer perspective. But More importantly, my business is dependent on, my friends, family, and so it's not. It's all reactionary. I'm not leading. I'm not buying the house. I'm not fixing it up, and I'm not selling it. Okay. So from my perspective, I have to kind of roll with the punches. So what I've seen is buyers get cold feet and get out of the market because it's not fun. I haven't seen sellers price their properties to where they make any sense yet. And what I say by that is look, if your neighbor 2 months ago sold their house for 400,000, okay, and your house is not better than theirs, in a normal market, you're not putting your house out for 400. You're not put out for 390, 385. In this market, people are putting out for 440, 450. No. Because I represent buyers, I'm always looking for a deal. I'm not looking for something to be mispriced. I'm looking for good value for my buyers. So I'm very uncomfortable when I have to do like no inspections, no appraisals, cash offers. I don't particularly like that. On the listing side, I think I haven't had many listings. It's been tough on me because, like I said, most of my buyers would be selling their houses if they could. So I've been pretty much locked up this whole time. But if you're on the listing side, you want the offer that's going to close. It's not always the highest price. That's what gets people really screwed up. Those buyer's love letters, those were banned a while back in Portland, and then the court said that you're nuts, that there's no way there's a reason to buy to ban them. The thing is like anything that you can use to get the house, you should go for. And on a buyer's, on a buyer love letter, saying to the writing a letter to the seller saying, hey, look, I don't know if I'm the highest price, but we're going to take care of this house as if it's our own. And we hope that you pick us. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, do the people lie on the buyer's letter? Sure. But I mean, it's the thought that counts in that situation. And so, no matter what happens in the market, let's say I go through a run where I don't have a buyer or a seller for a year. What is that going to do? Well, it's going to cause me personally to cut back. And that's just it. It's going to cut back. I have to cut back. I can't spend the kind of money I did before because I don't have the money coming in. But that's not going to put, I've learned kind of how to do this. I've been doing it for a while. I know how to operate on tight margins for me. I know how to do it. I'm not worried. I'll be around. And that's one of the things that gets kind of interesting when you look at transactions now. There's a lot of real estate agents in St. Louis. Don't kid yourself. But, you get to know quite a few of them by just working with them or seeing their statistics, like seeing how they're doing in the market. And there's people that last, okay? There's people that last, and then there's people that are here. They screw over a few buyers, screw over a few sellers, and they're gone. On to the next grift. And I never wanted to be that person. I never did. I always wanted to build my business like a certain way. And as I continue along the path, it doesn't always work out every time. Everything I've tried has definitely not worked out. But we just keep going at it slow and steady. So I'll be around. But what's funny is you see these listings, and the people that are that have them are like, they got their license last year. They have no idea what they're doing. And they're getting away with it because, it's family and friends. And so we just accept that as a great idea. It'll be interesting to see what happens if the market does take a downturn here in St. Louis. With the number of agents, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the marketplace, what new wrinkle, it's never as easy as the prices are going down, so we have to make changes. There's always some wrinkle. Like last time during the housing crisis, we were forced to get our fingerprints as real estate agents. That was the Dodd-Frank Act for real estate agents made us get our fingers printed. That was so weird. I'll never forget it. It's like we've had this terrible housing crisis, and the white collar criminals have just gone all over and fed off of everyone's carcasses. But you know what? You didn't do anything, but we're going to make you get your fingerprints. So in case you ever commit a crime, we're going to know it, I guess. I don't even know if my fingerprint I know they're individual to you, but do your fingerprints change over time? I don't know. Anyway. So what am I saying? Well, one, it would be so wonderful to have shows solely on people's comments, like solely on like going over stuff that people write. I would like that, but I'm not going to get that all the time. I mean, there's spam, there's people that want to fight me and all kinds of weird stuff on my comments. So, but that's part of the originality I'm looking for. So, put your comments below, be active in the chat. Let's have some fun with this. So let's look at, I'm going to leave this now. You saw, this is where it was. By the way, I did all that work on that YouTube video and got 12 views. It's so stupid. Let me check. I want to check one thing here. I want to look at my stats. I'm going to a screen that you guys can't see, and I'm sorry, but I just want to see what I think is going on. Okay, so yeah. So my impressions, these are my views. My impressions, I literally had one impression yesterday. When I do a short and a live stream, for 2 days, I got 10 impressions. I mean, can you believe that? 10. How sad is that? And they've got all this data, and they're like, all this data is going to help you. And it's like, you're showing my video to 10 people. Like, I don't think that's going to help. So it's kind of frustrating. Like I've had like 2 or 3 videos that brought in like 1 view. I mean, it's just crazy. So like, for those of you who think that I'm going to retire and just have a YouTube channel, I think we better rethink that between the two of us, because I don't think it's happening. Anyway, let's get into some other stuff. Let's get into some more fun stuff that isn't so depressing. Let's go here. Interest rates aren't depressing, are they? Let's go down here. Today's Tuesday. We're at 5.95%, up from 5.88% yesterday. You can see in the graph, it's just a huge spike over 6. It just seemed like it was within like 4 days, and then it went down, and now it's kind of like, are we going down? Are we going up? What's going on? I think that the Fed is going to raise rates again, and it's going to have it. While it doesn't do 1-to-1, it's going to have some impact on the mortgage rates, on the fixed rates. And so we'll just have to see what that does to the marketplace. If the Fed wants to kill the real estate market, that's fine with me. I hate to say it, but I mean, my buyers and I have been beaten down for the last year. Okay. And then when you add inflation, it's just ridiculous. So, get rid of it. That's fine. Kill the real estate market. But, just as people, do you feel comfortable knowing that the government decides like how much money you make and like how much money you can sell your house for, and they determine if you're making too much on housing. And so they they take steps to keep you from making more money, like, messing with the rates and things of that. It's a question that's like, who made you God? And why should we accept this thing? And then what I would like to say is if this is such, like, if we're really, really making safe decisions and safe choices, well, how did we get all this inflation in the first place? Like, it seems like the people that are in charge make these rules that affect our life, and they're not really voted in. We don't vote on the Fed. And yet they can determine whether or not we get a good amount of money for our house or less. On the same token, they can be the ones that inflate the market, significantly through negative or low borrowing rates, and then they can act surprised that it causes these bubbles that they've created. It's really, really hard to deal with. It's hard to accept. So I don't know if you're a Fed member watching this, you got a good job, good for you. But if you're just a normal person, like, you've got to understand that the Fed is not your friend. The government's not your friend. And this economic policy is lunacy. I mean, they've built the bubble in 2005 to 2007. Then they do it again now. And then they're like, oh, I didn't think that would happen. Remember, the Fed, inflation is transitory. How many months ago was that? Today I paid $4.60 at like Sam's for gas. It's just bad people, bad policies. So let's get into our story of the day today. Today, real estate agent kidnapped couple put leash around woman's neck. This came out on the 21st. I think when real estate agents become criminals, it's fascinating. I mean, it's not a good way to get clients. Like bad real estate agents, that are bad, like, meaning they get arrested. Those like we saw the guy that was murdering the homeless people in Florida that snapped. That was a bad thing. This here is a bad thing, but let's go over the article and see if we can gain anything from this or glean anything. Ready? It says a 73-year-old high-end real estate agent kidnapped a couple on a Colorado hiking trail and put a nylon leash on the woman whom he had a history of harassing. Okay, so there's a 73-year-old man that's a real estate agent, and he's a high-end real estate agent. Now, I would not consider myself to be a high-end real estate agent. We have had houses that are in the eights, but we've never had over $1 million home, and I've never represented somebody for over $1 million on one single sale. So I'm not a high-end real estate agent. But so this guy, 73 years old, he goes on he kidnaps a couple on a Colorado hiking trail and puts a nylon leash on the woman with whom he had a history of harassing. Now, can you imagine, like no offense, like, I'm just going to put this out there. This guy has probably done more business than I have in my career. Like, people out there have chosen a kidnapper over me, which is hurtful. It says Carrie Ensley, who has sold upscale home in Denver's suburbs for Sotheby's and Compass. Now, Sotheby's is considered a luxury brand. Compass, I don't know if they're a luxury brand or not. They think highly of themselves. Is now facing charges of kidnapping, menacing, and violating a restraining order in Friday's attack on a trail near a golf course in Lakewood, according to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. So this man has a few charges against him now. It says another man called 911 to report seeing two hikers being held at gunpoint by an assailant later identified as Ensley, who had confronted the husband and wife after kneeling down and pretended to tie his shoe. So he's like, I got to tie my shoe. And then he pulls a gun on these two hikers. And he just happened to know the woman who he's been harassing and put a leash on the woman. It says, as they walked past him, he confronted them with a handgun. The suspect ordered the female to the ground and put a nylon leash around her neck. It seems like there's his headshot. We call those headshots. Seems like is this the same guy? He didn't have his makeup on for that one. And Just a simple thing. He's got a smile here and he's got a frown here. He's taken that frown and he's not turned it upside down. So it says Ensley, who has disguised himself, and that's the most, I don't know, most fascinating thing to me. Like, the guy's a master of disguise to the point where he was so disguised that the lady who has filed a restraining order against him didn't know that it was him. So Ensley, who had disguised himself, had a history of harassing the woman. Now, I don't understand. You have a restraining order against you. You're a quote unquote professional real estate agent. Okay. What are you doing? Like, how do you get yourself, something's wrong here. It says the suspect allegedly ordered the husband and wife to come with him, but the husband managed to wrestle away a gun. Now, look, this guy's not messing around. He's in a disguise. He's in a disguise. He's got the gun. He's got the leash. All right. Then he's foiled by the husband who grabs the gun away from him. Okay. And then here's the thing. If I'm like, and I'm not trying to be mean, but if I've got, like, this guy just attacked me and my wife. Okay. And I've wrestled the gun away. I'm finishing the job. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe. But, I've had enough of this guy. I've had enough of this guy harassing my wife. I've just had enough. And it's time. I mean, the minute that you brought a gun to the party is when it's going to get real. This is me now. This may make me a horrible person in your eyes, and I apologize, but I have no sympathy for this. The couple then ran off and met responding deputies who confronted Ensley at gunpoint. He then pulled a stun gun from his waistband and took aim at cops, who fired but missed the real estate agent. So this sentence doesn't make any sense. We'll go over it again. The couple ran off. Okay, we're running off, and we found the deputies. Okay, yay. Then the deputies confronted the real estate agent at gunpoint. They're like, "Hey, you're a creepy dude. Come with us." And so then he's like, "Oh no, I'm going to get a stun gun out." And then aimed at the cops, who fired but missed the real estate agent. So that then the stun gun comes out, and so the agents respond. The deputies respond by trying to stun gun him and then miss. And then it says a second deputy then fired his taser at Ensley, who was taken to a hospital after complaining of injuries from the stun gun. He's butthurt. His plan to dress up like a different dude, go on a trail and wait for his woman who doesn't want to have anything to do with him, has a restraining order against him. Okay. Oh man. And then, so he gets tased. He gets tased and he's like, "Hey, I'm injured. Take me to the hospital." Like, cause he's sad because his whole plan was foiled. This sounds like, I don't know if this dude watches Scooby-Doo, but it kind of sounds that way. It sounds like Scooby-Doo. It said the kidnapped couple were not hurt, which is, I don't know. I mean, scarred for life. Some guy tries to put a leash around your wife while he kidnaps you. It says Ensley remains held on a $500,000 bond at a Jefferson County jail, which is not enough. Not enough. He's a high-end agent. He has a court date set for Friday. Record show it's unclear if he's hired a lawyer who could comment on his behalf. If you're the lawyer, what are you going to say? Like, this didn't happen? Ensley was on probation after pleading guilty to harassment regarding an incident in 2021. I mean, it just, the real estate agent was trying to get the woman in Friday's attack to drop charges against one of his relatives. A Jefferson County sheriff's spokesperson told the Daily Mail. Real estate agent was trying to get the woman in Friday's attack to drop the charges against one of his relatives. Like, how in the, like, no, like, what, under what logic? I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, you know, my relative has got charges against them. I really need to figure out a way to have the person drop the charges. All right, what I'll do is I'll get a gun, I'll dress up like a different dude, and then I'll confront them on a trail, and then I'll be like, I'll put a leash on her neck, and then I'm sure that's going to work. Like, that's going to be the thing that's like, oh, you want me to drop the charges? Okay. The spokesman woman declined to identify the relative or if the case had been resolved, but said the victim still has a restraining order prohibiting Ensley from contacting her. And then here you go. This is the sad part. I just wanted to go over this with you, this part. Ensley's Compass real estate profile was no longer active on Tuesday, while the Sotheby's in Denver confirmed that he had worked there, but refused to discuss his arrest, according to the Daily Mail. Now, if you think as a real estate agent that your brokerage has your back when you do something stupid, like criminally stupid, you are mistaken. They will run from you so fast. In fact, in this one, his real estate profile wasn't even active. It was no longer active by the time they looked. He's gone. And Sotheby's said, yeah, he worked here, but you know, we're done. They drop these people so fast. You mean nothing. If you're not bringing in money to these brokerages, then you are not worth their time. Just go on down the road. So, what would I say other than, you know, there were comments. I don't know. I don't want to read the comments, but I again, like my business is struggling. It has struggled for a while, but when you go and you kidnap an agent, like if you're an agent and you kidnap someone, okay, and then, you know, you still do more business than I do, it just kind of hurts. That's just all I'm going to say, just from my perspective. So that was an odd story. Let's move on. It says, when should you lower your home's listing price? That's an article. I was kind of interested about that. Well, I mean, like, this isn't a hard question for me, but I thought we'd go over it and see what you think. It says, as the U.S. housing market appears to be finally cooling somewhat, some buyers are breathing a sigh of relief. Home sellers are frantically entering the market, hoping to take advantage of the remnants of the pricing boom. That's true. Last Friday, we had all kinds of listings come to market. Even today, 4 and 5 listings. And you know what? I gotta hand it to the agents, like, that are listing these homes. They're got such tough talk. They're like, no, offers accepted, only on Sunday or Monday, no showing until Friday. And then, like, multiple offers, our seller will make a decision and all this stuff. All that's coming to an end, hopefully. But until then, it's just kind of funny. So watching all these people do this right now, it's like you're fronting. You're putting on a face, and we know what's really going on. For the 4 weeks ending May 22nd, almost 1 in 5 sellers dropped the price of their home. It's the highest rate since 2019. I don't know who those people are that have been listing their houses and dropping the price of their home. It seems like if a house lasted more than 7 days on the market here, somebody had written an offer that was lower than asking and they had accepted it, rather than the indignity of lowering their price. Now, let me warn you, there are probably 50% of all agents out there that are listing agents that will say when the price drops on the property they listed, that's actually a price improvement. We've seen a price improvement, which is kind of a way to say, oh, by the way, we really bungled the price, and rather than blame us for it, we're going to act like this is really helping you. It says, during the same 4-week period, there were 13% fewer homes for sale searches on Google, and there was a 12% year-over-year decline in tours and related service from agents on Redfin. Now, I don't know how they got this statistic, 13% fewer homes for sale searches on Google, that's trustworthy. I mean, you can get a lot of data online about search, but I don't think they have it even close. It says sellers are still asking a premium for homes with the median asking price up 17.8% year over year. However, sellers are also starting to see the writing on the wall as buyers are more cost conscious with rising interest rates, thus the price drops. So if you do get a price drop, okay, maybe, just maybe, that listing is actually within now the bounds of a house actually appraising for that price. I mean, the problem that we were running into, let's just use numbers. Say there's a $400,000 house, okay? And my buyers and I are willing to buy this house at $400,000, okay? But then someone else jumps in and says they'll pay, through an escalation clause, $450, $460. Well, all the comps in the neighborhood are like, this house is worth $370, $380. We're already $20,000 over asking, or over the value of the home. And now you're going to go to $450, $460. It's never going to appraise. So, my buyers are automatically out. I'd say 99% of my buyers have to have a mortgage to close on a house. I mean, they're young people. They don't have a lot of cash built up. So it's really fascinating. If we do get homes like lowering the asking price to just where the house would appraise, that's going to bring a few buyers into the market. Even though interest rates are ridiculous, have a lot of buyers that would really do well to have a home they want. It's time for them to get a home. Pregnancies, moving in together, marriage. There are buyers out there that are motivated. Maybe a new job, a new opportunity. There are people out there like that, and they do need homes. So it says, if you're a seller with a home on the market, how do you know it's time to lower the price? Well, I mean, seriously, this is what you should be working out with your realtor. Like, you should start with your real estate agent when somebody comes to list your house. Okay, when you have a listing appointment, you should talk about, like, what is your listing strategy, Mr. Agent? How are we going to list this? What's going to happen if X, Y, and Z? If someone came to me and said, hey, I want to list my house $20,000 over what you suggest, let me get a drink. I'd say, well, that's a strategy. It doesn't seem like a very good one right now. What happens if it doesn't sell at $20,000 over? When are we getting that price change? And then they say, well, you know what? 10 days. If it doesn't get sold in 10 days, we don't have an offer, I'll lower the price. And I would say, hey, that's a terrible plan, but if that's what you're comfortable with, we can try it. Because that's who I am. I don't feel like, I've never been the one. I don't set the prices. The seller sets the prices. I show them all the data. So anyway, it says, if your home has been on the market for a while and it's not getting the attention you think it should, or not getting offers, it's frustrating. More often than not, according to real estate professionals, the issue is the price. It's a combination of the price. It's a combination of the presentation. Are the pictures terrible? Is the description awful? It's something. It's definitely something. So it says buyers can overlook many other factors if they feel the price is right. Some of the signs your price might be too high include getting little traffic and no offers. You might also get good traffic, but the offers you're getting are a low ball. Now that's a little bit, we'll go back to that. A third sign of thinking about having good traffic, but negative reactions from potential buyers. If buyers consistently make comments about the price, it might be time to pay attention to what they're saying. If you've listed your house $20,000 over what it'll appraise for, and someone puts in an offer $20,000 below your asking price, which would be the right price for the house, that's not a low ball offer. That's a perfect offer, and you should take it. But there's pride involved there, and you're probably not going to. And you probably didn't even hire the agent that said what you should list it for. You probably believed the guy in the slick suit that said, hey, you need to list this, you want to list it for 20 grand, I'm all in. When to lower the price. Now, look, in this market, if you missed on the first weekend, if you missed on the first weekend, you've got to lower the price. Not hard to figure out. It says, if you think you should reduce the price of your home, you should do it quickly. Usually within 2 weeks of initially putting it on the market is ideal, especially with inventory remaining low. As a rule, you'll see the most activity within the first 21 days of your home going on the market. So make sure you're taking advantage. You'll also want to take you also want to look at some of the indicators in the housing market where you are, like average days on market. What I do is once a house goes on the market, okay, I set up a search so that person sees all the houses at their price point that have sold while their house is still sitting there on the market. And then they kind of know, like, hey, if people are choosing these other homes, maybe it's my home. Maybe it's not so great. You have a natural bias as a seller. You bought the home and you're going to think that your house is worth more than everyone else's. It's not unusual. It's not strange. It's the way it is. You just don't have the ability to know because you're not in the marketplace all the time. It says, our one guideline that some real estate pros recommend is a price adjustment after a house is on the market for 10 days. I don't set a specific day. It's all on feeling. It's all on intuition. There are marketing steps your realtor should take before a price reduction. For example, maybe they need to revisit your photos and ensure they're good enough. The home also needs to be listed in multiple places, and you should address buyer feedback. Well, like, I've had houses where, like understand, there's different ways this goes. Number one, if I'm an agent and I'm going to see 10 houses today, and you ask me for my feedback, and my buyers aren't going to put an offer, we're going to say that it's too expensive. Why? Because if I say it's too expensive, you're not going to ask me more questions. You're not going to bother me. Like if you put anything else in there, like for instance, one of the listings I had, somebody wrote that the house smelled bad, smelled of mold and mildew. Well, that was one person. There were 10 other people that wrote offers on the house and didn't think anything of it. So, I'm not interested in odd feedback like that. That was just weird. It didn't cause me to do anything. So I'm not addressing buyer feedback that way. And then who's not got their home listed in multiple places? If I list a house in our MLS, hundreds of thousands of places show that listing. I'm not really worried about that. And revisit your photos and ensure they're good enough. Well, that's on you. I mean, if you hired a listing agent that has a photographer that takes crappy pictures and makes crappy descriptions, that's on you. You chose the real estate agent. You should have asked what their previous listings looked like. I'm not afraid to show mine. I'm not afraid. And some of my houses are terrible. I mean, they're just ugly. But I'm not afraid to show what I've got and what I've done for my sellers. So anyway, it says, know what to know about price cuts. No one wants to make a price reduction, but the reality is you may even have to do it more than once. The more your days on the market go up, the potential need for price adjustments increases. It's advisable to make no more than 3 price reductions. If you go beyond that, it will start to become a red flag to buyers. You also want to be careful and strategic about in how much you reduce the price. For example, if you priced high to start with, maybe you reduce it by around 4%, no more than 9%. If your initial price was comparable to market value, you might need an incremental cut. Doesn't make any sense. Some real estate agents think it's better to go ahead and reduce your home by a significant enough amount initially so you don't have to do it more than once. That's something to talk to your agent about. There's the potential that multiple smaller cuts are just dragging out the process of selling your home, which isn't what you want. Now, I don't think, many of the agents that have started now, I don't even think they would know. I don't even think they would know like how to drop their prices strategically. I really don't. That's fascinating. I mean, that's the first time it's occurred to me. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. Let me check something. All right. Well, so bottom line from me, you should be worried. The whole issue is choosing your real estate agent up front. The issue of lowering your home's listing price isn't even an issue if you've chosen the right agent. Because if you've chosen the right agent to list your home, you're talking about these things. Right? I mean, in advance, like listing agent saying, like, this is how the process might work. Don't be afraid if this happens, pay attention to this. That's all stuff you've talked to your listing agent about and you feel comfort with. I hope. or else you're not doing a very good job screening for an agent that you can work with. It's just me. I suspect it happens a lot. I don't know. You want to do another article? I mean, we got a little bit of time. Like I said, I got to get ready for that showing soon. Highest and best, first, best and final. A home buyer's guide to offers and winning a bidding war. This was out of Realtor, Realtor.com. Now, I don't know if this is going to be applicable. This was written on the 22nd of June, and already between what we're seeing, what the people are commenting about, what I'm seeing in the market, this might not be an issue anymore. But I don't know. It says, there are signs that the housing market is easing off record high prices it's seen during the past few years, but bidding wars for homes are far from over, especially in competitive markets. See, I think that there have always been bidding wars. As long as I've been an agent, there's been certain houses where people pay a stupid amount of money for. And my strategy has always been, let's not go to those houses because you're not going to win anyway. And if you do, it's like, what did you really win? And the difference between landing your dream home and going back to square one can come down to something as silly as a minor misunderstandings or misinterpretation of real estate lingo. I don't think so. Again, if you're working with a good buyer's agent, you're not losing out because of a problem with real estate lingo. But let's continue. I think it's a faulty premise. It says, take, for example, the subtle difference between the terms highest and best and final, which are used to describe the types of offers a buyer makes on a house. Many home sellers are asking buyers to submit one of the two types of offers in anticipation of or amid a bidding war. Now, take, for example, the subtle difference between the terms highest and best and final. So it depends on where you are. Like in St. Louis and Missouri right now, we have escalation clauses. Some places they don't accept escalation clauses. Some houses they don't expect. They don't allow for escalation clauses. So I don't really even know what to think about that. When I write an offer with my buyers, it's the highest and best. Is it the best and final? I don't know. Let's continue. Are you sure you know the difference between these two types of offers? Read on for the definition and for savvy tactics from real estate experts so that you can put your best foot forward and land your home you're set on. What does highest and best offer? It says when sellers ask for highest and best offer, they're typically trying to start a bidding war and plan to play potential buyers off of one another. That's right. When I see a seller asking for highest best, I read that as code for the seller wanting a firm final number for price and great terms. It often entails accepting a home as is, which leaves little wiggle room for negotiations after an offer is accepted. Okay, and then it says, what does best and final offer mean? A request for buyer's best and final offer means the seller wants to move fast and is not interested in prolonged negotiations. When I see a seller asking for best and final, it means they're not planning on pitting buyers against each other. They want to give everyone an equal shot and or avoid the bidding war. So that's why I don't see it. I just don't see it here. Maybe it's where's this lady? Portland, Oregon. Maybe it's there, but it isn't here. It says strategies for highest and best offer. Winning a bid amidst stiff competition without regrets later is no easy task, but it can be accomplished with a firm plan in place. Buyers should ask their agents to garner as much detail as possible about the offers already received during the highest and best negotiations. They should find out what the seller deems most important in a winning offer aside from price. It's always smart for a buyer's agent to find out what will get the deal done in these situations. And so here's how that works. So I call the listing agent. I say, hey, is there anything you guys want? And like they say, well, we'd like a closing date of this day. Well, I write it in the offer. Now, does that matter? To me, not so much. Like I want to get the house under contract. If the seller wants to move the date out, that's a negotiation for a later date. I don't really care. So if they put it in there, if they say that's what we want, I'll put it in there. I'll put it in as on the buyer side. It doesn't bother me. But I'm not likely to get I might get, hey, how many offers do you have? I'll say I have 6 offers in hand. Okay, well then what does that mean? You have very little shot of getting the house. That's what it means. If they say we stop counting at 30, just don't even bother. Don't even bother. For example, will the seller be requiring a rent back agreement after closing, meaning the buyer won't be able to move into the house right away, or is the seller eager to unload the home and looking for a buyer who's able to make an offer with a quick closing in 30 days? So yes. So like I've said in the past, I'm not taking a rent back agreement for my buyers. I'm not doing that. I don't care what your situation is. it better be free and clear in 30 days on the buyer side. Now, just depending on what kind of seller I have, I might try to pull that stuff. But normally when you talk to buyers and they ask for stupid stuff, or when you talk to sellers, when they ask for these stupid stipulations, you say, look, the less stipulations I have, the better chance you have of selling a house for the best price possible. And normally that works. Like normally they accept that. It says Greg Cantor, president of home building and remodeling company Murray Lamper Design in San Diego, insists that cash is king and can often seal the deal, even if others are slightly higher. If cash isn't his option, he recommends including pre-approval from a bank and staying relentlessly upbeat. Don't bring up any issue about the home before the offer is accepted. I kind of agree with that. If you want to buy a house, the last thing, like I see people all the time, like they ask for sellers ask for feedback, and then you write like, we hate the bathroom. And then you guys put an offer on the house, and it's like, you didn't like the bathroom. We'll just sell it to the person that did. So that's shooting yourself in the foot. But most agents are smart enough not to do that. Strategies for a best and final offer. It says for best and final bids, a broker associate, Glenn Henderson, a broker associate Premier Homes in Colorado, Coronado in San Diego, recommends bringing an escalation clause. An escalation clause is when a buyer's offer a range of prices and say they will beat any other competing number by, say, for example, $5,000. You can outline how much you're willing to pay over the highest offer. If you have a cap that you don't want to exceed, you can say you'll pay $5,000 above the highest verified offer, not to exceed whatever your upper limit is. That's right. However, just understand that many other people are going to have escalation clauses. And there's some sellers that don't want them. I don't know why. I've always thought that was dumb. But I think what happens is, say a buyer, a seller accepts an offer from a buyer, and that offer is the highest price, and then the offer below it had had a stipulation, and then what happens has some sort of stipulation in it. And so what happens is the buyer that actually wins gets cold feet, and they say, oh, well, we're not really the highest offer. You should take that other person's offer. And then you go, okay, great. So then you go to the next buyer that was second in the line and say, hey, congratulations, you get the house at this price. And then what turns out is like nobody was even close to that offer. And they're like, no, I don't think so. And then you lose like $30,000 and $40,000, and now you're just in a mess. So I think that's what people are worried about is escalation clauses. I don't. Most of the time, my buyers and most of the buyers that I know are so happy to get a house, they don't even care. They're just like, we're finally done with this garbage. Then it says, Kelly Edwards, a real estate agent at Compass in Los Angeles, says one strategy sees same work again and again is simply having an offer stand out. So instead of offering an 470, why not offer 470, 427? It can really help you stand out. It can, but it can also just piss off the seller. Let me do something more interesting. Let me say this. What if you had a house, okay, and the asking price was, say, I'm having fun with 400 today. So let's say the asking price was 400 and you are an agent, you're representing your buyer. You call the listing agent because your buyers are excited about maybe putting an offer on this house and purchasing it. And you say, hey, how many offers do you have? And they say, we have 6 offers in hand. Well, let me tell you something. If they've got 6 offers in hand, it's probably best not to come in at $400,000 with an escalation clause of $5,000 more. Why don't you just come in at 420, 430? That will make an offer stand out. And you may say, John, that's not true. You're wrong. I listed a house last year. Absolutely sealed the deal when the person went more than asking, made that offer stand out, and they also on the escalation clause, they also offered the most money. That's the one that won. And they had a mortgage, and they didn't even care if it didn't appraise. It was wonderful, glorious. And it didn't appraise, and they paid, and it was no big deal. Edwards also recommends other more mainstream and usually successful tactics, including paying closing costs. No, we're not going to do that. We always pay closing costs on the buyer side. We're used to it. Waiving certain contingencies, foregoing inspections. I don't like that one. Asking to be put in first position. Essentially putting yourself in the seller's wait list in case the accepted offer doesn't work out. Now, back in the day, I had a listed a duplex, and the person that bought it just had a wonderful offer. Okay. Another agent that wrote an offer said, hey, can I write a backup offer? And I'm like, you know what? No. When the house goes out of contract, I'm just going to let it go. Anybody can make an offer on it again. That's just what I would do. So that's what I did. And it says, in the end, buying a house, even one you feel emotionally tied to, is a business decision for both parties. Put your best foot forward. Be prepared. And if the first few homes didn't work out, try not to take it personally. Hard to do. I take it personally. All right, so here's the deal. I got to get going. I got to show that house. You guys have to go about the rest of your day. If you do watch this on a recap, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. If I could get 100 subscribers by like next year, I'd be okay with that. With that, I'm going to head on out. Thank you for calling, and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later. I got a call here I got to take. Bye.